Okay, welcome to Algebra 2, Section 6.2. We're going to look at the notes on page 1 of that note packet. And we're going to start with just the concept of factors. We've already covered this idea. But the factors are the parts of a product or a multiplication problem. So in example 1, where we have the number 20, it can be broken up into the factors of 2 and 10, or 4 times 5, or even 2 times 2 times 5 gives 20. So in that case, there's 3 factors listed. In the second example, we have a factor of 4 and a factor of 5, the parts of the multiplication. Okay, in the next example, you see the 49, or excuse me, x squared minus 49 there. That's called the standard form version. But because of the multiplication that's right in the center of this problem over here, there's a multiplication right there. The factored version is the one on the right where it says x plus 7 times x minus 7. So we have the second factor is that x minus 7, and the first factor is this x plus 7. Okay, in the next example, what we might learn from this is if you want to turn it around, 2x plus 3 times x plus 4, and switch it around by putting the x plus 4 in the front, that's fine. The commutative property of multiplication takes over, which says that if you turn a multiplication around, you get the same numerical value. Okay, on the next line, we have 2 factors. We have the 5x squared and the 2x plus 3. Again, I'm going to indicate the multiplication that separates the factors. It would be right where that dot is, that red dot. And anytime you put an expression up against a parentheses, it means times. So that's where the multiplication is in the middle of that problem. Okay, on example 6, we're going to take an expression that's already given us in factored form, and we got to convert it to standard form. So we'll start by foiling out the back half of that. Let me show you where I get these numbers. 2x squared is right there. The outside gives 3x, the inside gives minus 4x, and the last times the last gives negative 9. So that's where that comes from. Okay, the next thing you're going to do here is you're going to multiply this all out. And let me kind of show you where these numbers come from here. What we're doing is multiplying all of the terms here by x first and then by 1 after that. So that's the overview. Before I do that, though, I'm going to show you a different way to write this. You can consolidate it and say minus 1x in the middle. And instead of taking 2 lines to do it, what I'm going to do is back up and show you how to save yourself a line of writing every time. When you're foiling something, you want to take your first times your first and write that down first of all, 2x squared. Let me change pen colors and size here if you don't mind. All right, I'm going to get a more precise pen and put it in blue. 2x squared, and then the outside is 3x. If you'll combine that immediately with the inside, you'll save yourself a whole line of writing. 3x minus 4x is minus 1x. And then down here you get minus 6. And you'll save yourself a whole line of writing. All right, now at this point you got to multiply everything by x plus 1, and you do that by first multiplying everything by x, and you'll do that across the top like this. So that gives 2x cubed on the first round, negative 1x on the second round, and you can see that this one down here is going to give minus 6x. So then you switch to the 1 times that gives this term here, and the 1 times the next one gives that term, and finally 1 times negative 6 gives negative 6. Now, when you write it out in a long line like this, all the way across the paper, you're going to find it's better, instead of doing it that way, to instead, when you write your second round of variables, to line up the like terms like I've done here. And in doing that, you can then just add the columns here. So we get a final answer of 2x cubed plus 1x squared plus 5x, or minus 7x, excuse me. Let me get that fixed. And minus 6. Now you could check this work by storing a random number for x. I usually use 1.23 and typing this original expression and then typing the standard form version, and the two answers should be equal to each other. Okay, the next problem here, I'm going to start out by distributing in the front, and I'll show you how that works here. 6n squared plus 4n. Now the back half where it says n plus 1 squared, you want to be careful not to just square both parts of it. You have to actually write this out. And I'm going to multiply those two terms, the n plus 1 times the n plus 1, next. So the first time around I get n squared. The outside is 1n combined with another 1n on the inside. And last times last. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to multiply this binomial times this trinomial. You take the first part and you multiply by all three of the other ones. So let's see, 6n squared times n squared is going to give 6n to the fourth. And then 6n squared times this 2n is going to give positive 12n cubed. And then finally, 6n squared times 1 is just 6n squared. Then I'm going to switch to the bottom one here, or the last one, 4n times all these. The first one gives 4n cubed plus 8n squared. And we finish up with a positive 4n there. So now that you have your like terms lined up, it makes it easier to complete this problem. And now that expression is written in standard form. Now going from standard form to factored form is not a real easy skill, but I've taught it to you, so it should be a little bit of a review here. You look for a GCF first, which in this problem is just a 3x. 3 goes into all of those numbers, and x also does. If you were pretending to distribute here, the first pair has to give this amount, so that tells you you're going to need a 2x squared in that slot. Multiplying by the next slot has to give this, so 3x times 3x times 9x would give 27x squared. And finally, 3x times 10 would give the prescribed 30x. All right, once you've done that much, you need to factor the trinomial, and we're going to do that with the star method. You're going to put the 2 that leads on both wings, angel wings there. And then we have 2 times 10 is 20. And that goes out the head of the angel. And a 9 underneath. We need numbers that multiply to give 20 and add to give 9. So here's the numbers that multiply to give 20. There's one pair. Here's another pair. Here's a third pair. And that ends the list. And the only one that we have potential for getting 9 out of is that 4 and 5. So let's make sure this works here. Does 4 plus 5 equal 9? Does 4 times 5 equal 20? And the answer is yes in both cases. So we have a little bit of canceling to do here. I'm going to divide these both by 2. Gives me 1/2. And turning that 1/2 sideways gives me 1x plus 2. The other one, 2 over 5, turning sideways is 2x plus 5. And if you double check, first times first gives 2x squared, last times last gives 10. 5x on the outside combined with 4x on the inside does give 9x in the middle. So this problem is done correctly, and that ends our video for page 1.